Morning and welcome back to the wildlands. And in today's episode I'm going to propagate some bamboos and get some free plants for the nursery and to put around the land, and I build a massive bed on top of what was the hugelbed at the top of the entrance to the nursery where we were originally going to put the chicken coop. And I use my own version of the Charles Dowding No Dig method, but substituting a thick layer of straw instead of cardboard. So I'll show you how to do that, and also sow a green manure clover crop on that. So again, I'll show you that. So enjoy today's episode, and quite a few other jobs on the wildland as well, which you'll see shortly. So enjoy. In July 2021, with the increase in travel restrictions caused by Brexit and the pandemic, we decided to buy off-grid land in Portugal to live a more sustainable lifestyle.
Follow along with our journey as we turn our beautiful but derelict land into our very own slice of off-grid heaven. Wildlands.
So the next job on the wildlands is we've got a very old vine, so not sure if it's an eating or a wine vine, but it's been here probably about 50 to 100 years, difficult to tell, but it's got a lovely old snarled base and it's not been cared for a long time. So I've been getting some training and looking at other pruning of vines as I've been out on my walks. So I think based on the size of the stalk, I'm going to allow 3 or 4 main stems for the grapes to grow on. So here is our very snarly old vine, and you can see it's got a mess of little branches which have all got new buds and some are dead at the ends. So what we need to do is we need to pick out the healthiest one of these and chop everything else off, so that we're left with just 2 to 3 to 4. I'll have to decide as I go based on the size. And so you can be quite aggressive here, and then you put all the strength and the energy into the selected stems that you've left in place, and then we can come back in a few months and see if we've actually got any fruit coming. Brutal, but perhaps not as brutal as I should have been. So I've left this long one that's coming out the side, which I probably shouldn't have left, and then I've left 3 on the top and 1 down here. So I probably could have taken 1 or 2 others off, but I think I'm pretty pleased with that. I'm just going to tidy up a few of these bits. So what I've done, as you can see, is any branches coming off I've trimmed off, and any dead bits on the end I've trimmed to about 1 centimetre from the top bud here, which is a live bud, and I can now see where I've trimmed it is green inside, so I think we're going to be good. So first time I've ever pruned a vine, if that gives you the confidence to do yours, and I think the locals would probably have just left these 3 on the top. Maybe this one here, but it is quite an old vine, so I'm going to give it a mulch as well, and it has been disturbed a bit by Frank, so I'm just going to remove some of this loose soil and just put some compost around it, give her a bit of a feed. It is quite rotten at the bottom here, so this section here is actually dead, but it's partly attached here, so I don't want to damage her. So there we go. How to prune your grapevines. We'll find out in the summer, or towards the end of the summer, whether we've got a wine graper or an edible. An edible would be nice, wouldn't it, right by the fruit forest. Beautiful old girl that she is. I mean, look at that trunk, isn't it stunning? Despite being a bit rotten, she's still going after God knows how many years. Going back a month or 2, when we put the IBCs in down the bottom here, those IBCs. So you remember I did the plumbing at the bottom and I drilled here for water, but on this side I have a no hole. So got me drill, I'm just going to drill in here. Job done. And now I'm going to fill those up with the water that we've collected from rain. So we have 4 IBCs there which collect the water from the roof of the shade house, and we've collected about 3,000 litres. So I'm going to drain that out into those 2 IBCs at the bottom so that when it rains tomorrow, got plenty of room to collect free rainwater. Lovely. Filling up with water. Barrel speed. There we go. These fill in. These were completely empty, these tanks. So it might take a while. I think it's going to take quite a long time to get your water in that big barrel. Look, it's only gone a few inches, isn't it? So here, to guess, these are 100 litres, 200, all the way up to 1,000. So next job, remember the bamboos that were filling up the van that we got to split. So this one at the back with the broad leaves, I've already split one, and I'll film a separate video showing how I did it to get free bamboos. So if you follow me down the uncompleted chicken area, so that is one bamboo split into 5 large sections. So that's 5 bamboos that will soon be as big as the one that I cut up. And then the pots, which is what, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, are root and culm cuttings. So they won't have 100% success rate, but any one that comes up is another free bamboo. So we've got 10 out of 1 bamboo. We'll see what our success rate is in the future. And again, I'll do a separate video showing you how to take root and culm cuttings. So more free plants at the Wildlands. Woohoo! So that was a long day, I'm very knackered now. So just to give you an epilogue to today's work in the nursery. So I've got the right hand IBC full up with water, which is rainwater collected from the shade house. The one on the left is half full, but it's got a leak. So I'm going to use that for watering first and then repair the leak. I think this one might have a slow drip as well. Yeah. And I've propagated 2 bamboos. So that one there, got loads out of that one. And lots of root and culm cuttings in the little pots at the bottom. And the yellow stem bamboo, I've got 4 big pots with varying amount of stalks. And then 2 culm cuttings and 1 root cutting with lots of stems, which is that one. So you can see that one is just 1 stem, but it's got lots of culms. That one is lots of stems, but they're short and thin. And then the 2 at the back have got much thicker stems as well. So look forward to those taking and settling in. And then there's 4 there still to split. If you go back a couple of months to videos when we had Frank the Digger here, you might remember that behind me we created a kind of hugelbed. So Frank dug a very big pit, about 2 meters deep, 4 or 5 meters long, and then he filled it with twigs and branches and rotten trees, and then covered that over with earth. So kind of a hugelbed, but not quite. But it's going to provide excellent rotted material in the future for plants. So I'm going to turn that into a tropical bed and mix it in with some berries, strawberries and blueberries. It's also the bed where we initially had the chicken coop. So it's quite big, it's about 5 meters by 2 meters. And you can see it's at the top of the fruit forest, near the Epic Gate and where we currently park the van. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cover the bottom with this reasonably well rotted manure that also came from Frank. Just got a few weeds in it, so I'm going to take them out and stick them in the compost. So manure down first, and then on top of that I'm going to put some straw as a kind of mulch and light blocker for any grass and weed seeds that might still be left in the manure. And then on top of the straw I'm going to put a 2-inch or so layer of just normal universal compost. So I'm going to cover the whole of that area, so quite a big job. And then I've got 5 Myrtillo blueberries, which are native to Portugal. They grow quite big, so I'm going to grow them as a hedge towards the back, but I'm going to leave room for some large bamboos and bananas. And then at the front I've got, I think, around 50 strawberries, which I'm going to plant at the front. And then I'm going to leave lots of space. One's come to see what I'm doing. What you planting, eh? You planting the wiki tree? I like the wiki tree. I've been planting them, but I've not got no wikis yet. I'm looking at my garden. So yeah, 50 or so strawberries going in at the front. So let that begin. So a lot of greens there, mainly grass, pretty couch grassy, but all good for the compost. And the compost will rot that down, kill off the weeds as it goes. So that'll be put back into the land in a few months when it's a nice load of compost, and it's got all the manure around the roots, so that's even better, and it's lovely and wet. So you have to layer up your compost with greens and browns as well as your kitchen waste. So I'll get the wheelbarrow and let's get that in the compost. There's our compost. So you can see there was a layer of straw and then some kitchen waste on top. So I'm going to spread the greens out in there. There we go, load of green on the top. I'll put some straw on that later, and then we also put some of our urine on it, and we haven't been adding water because it's been raining on and off, but when it's drier you need to keep it reasonably moist but not too wet, but it doesn't compost well if it dries out. So the next quick job on my border is to just give the blueberries and strawberries a very good soak. And they can sit in that for a couple of hours before they plant them out. Always wise before you're planting pots to give them a good soak. And in the meantime I'm off down the land to start the pump to collect some more water, and I'll be back in 2 seconds for you guys to get me border done. So the pump is running. It's the second time I've run it today because we're collecting up water ready for the hot weather. So the 2 IBCs behind, one is half full, so we probably put about 400 litres in there because there was a trickle at the bottom, and the one below we've probably put about 200 or 300 litres in. So I'm going to fill up the top one, and then if the pump's still running I shall fill up the other 2 on my right by the cold frame. And if you're wondering why we've gone from van lifers travelling around England and the EU to off-gridders, and now off-gridders who seem to do only gardening and planting, our objective is to become self-sustainable and grow all, if not as many of our fruit and veg as we possibly can. So on the fruit front we've obviously primarily planted very young trees, so we're unlikely to get massive crops of fruit, but we can make up for that with vegetables of every shape and size, carrots, onions, parsley, herbs and many other things. And the idea is that we want to grow enough to not have to buy any vegetables when we go out, which, as I'm a vegetarian and Missy and Rosie are vegans, most vegetables is a considerable part of our weekly food spend. We're also getting to grips with the different climate here. It's obviously very cold at night, or has been up to this point, quite often in the minuses, down to -5, and then the days, apart from the rainy season, which has been short so far, are pretty much like you can see today. So there's a breeze, which is a little bit chill, but the sun is warm, so let's get more growing. That's it for today, 5 o'clock. Just got to go chop some wood. So I've got the manure down pretty much with a nice path, and then tomorrow put the straw on and then the compost on top, and then I can get planting.
Gravel. I've got to move the big pile of gravel from here down to there because it's in the way of the parking space.
We've got people coming to stay, haven't we? So we're making a bit of a clear up as well.
Yeah, and then we've got to move all the big poles. I don't know that we're going to be able to pick them up. And this is just little by little. I'm not saying I'm going to move the whole pile in one go. I'll do what I can until I run out of energy.
And if you remember yesterday, which you'll have seen earlier in the video, I filled up the top of the compost with all the greens, the weeds that I took out of the manure bed that I'm using on my big new border. So those of you that compost will know that you want 1/3 greens, 2/3 browns. So we're using straw for the majority of our browns, which is in a massive bale behind me. So I'm just going to collect up some straw, put that on top of the compost, and then also while we're on straw I need to collect up a load for my next layer on my border, so I'll be doing that a bit later as well. We've got a potato that's come up there. So we just left him. Not going to disrupt the compost process. I might get a couple of potatoes out of him, bless him. So, put down rotted horse manure, covered it in straw to keep out some of the light, and add a bit more humus. And then I've covered it all in compost. Now I'm going to sow clove seeds, which, as you've seen in the last few videos, is great ground cover fertiliser, green fertiliser. So that's the next chore. So, all sown, all watered, and now it's time to go put the seeds to bed. And then we've got friends round later for a few beers, just the one mind. So a lot of work today, hot day as well, very nice. So tomorrow I'm going to put my strawberries and blueberries in. So just like that, be tomorrow. So along the edges of the border I collected roof tiles from our ruin and I've made an edge in. And then you see on the left I've planted strawberries. And then the path I've just used stuff from underneath our mitre source. It's a mixture of sticks, pine needles, bark and sawdust, just to make a rustic path so it doesn't get muddy. You can see all those seeds, which is red and white clover, and red and white clover is a great green manure, so it helps to bond the soil. It's a nitrogen fixer, it's a ground cover manure as well, so on hot days it will keep the soil cooler than just the sun blaring down on the soil. And then when you want to plant, you just separate it and put your plants in. And then over in the back corner you can see the straw that I put underneath the compost, which I showed you earlier, and I ran out of soil or compost for this top back bit, which is a little bit steep anyway, so the whole of the back is missing its soil. And here I put a stone in. I need to get some more. That's a stepping stone so that I can walk over to the back. But I need to get some more stones to finish that off. So there we go. Pretty much finished bed. I'm very pleased with that. So there's 70 strawberries in there. So we've got a couple of hundred strawberries in the fruit forest now, which feels like a lot, but at €3 a punnet. And obviously we've got to provide some for the birds. So hopefully we'll get a good crop of strawberries over the next few years. You see at the back there, I've not yet planted them. I've got 5 blueberries, which should be a little blueberry hedge. And then here I'm going to put a little ramp so I can get my wheelbarrow in. And then we can walk around. Some of the beds are quite big, so I'll need to put some more stones in so that I can get to the backs and the fronts. So there we go, another bed in the fruit forest completed. On to the next one. So next I'm going to do the opposite side, where you saw me take all the manure that I put in the bed that I've now finished. So the plan here is going to continue the wood along here, so the same as that side, which if I spin you around then create a nice path like that kind of width. And then that means that this bed will have this higher section here. You can see the bed's a lot higher, so this front bed, the higher bit, will be for plants of a tropical type, and then Missy wants to plant pumpkins and gourds. And this section is lower because it's a hugelbed, same as the one behind me, and Frank took a lot of the soil to use down in the fruit forest. I'll also take you quickly down to the cold frame before we leave you, and Missy can show you what's happened in the last week to our seeds, which are going tremendously well, so very pleased. However, the cold frame is almost full now, so what we thought was going to be a big cold frame actually needs to be bigger. But the upside is we've obviously left the left side of pallets, which you've seen before, where we'll be building a greenhouse, which is shelved temporarily while we concentrate on growing. But the greenhouse will be put up towards the end of the summer so that we can use it through the autumn and the winter into next year's growing season. So let me just show you with Missy where we're at with our seeds for this week, and then we can get some more planting done. Wow, that's a lot of seeds.
Seedlings now.
Yeah.
Baby plants.
So that's very exciting, isn't it?
Yeah. Shall I show you some of the best bits?
Yeah.
I'm excited about these. Okay. Tomato.
He's doing well.
This grew in a bottle, or it germinated in a bottle and then got potted on. He looks very happy. There's 2 of those, 2 different types. I'm excited about this one too. This is borage. So it'll grow into a huge bush with little blue edible flowers on it.
Beautiful as well, aren't
Nice
they?
for the bees, very nice. And then it'll just keep coming back every year. I'm excited about my sage because, if you look, it's got actual sage leaves, which is so cute.
Very cute, isn't he?
And I've got 3 or 4 of each type of herb. So we've got thyme and basil, sage, dill, coriander, anise, lots of different types of basil. And then over in the back here we've got some chili peppers. And this whole tray here, that's all flowers. So some of them are specific, so I think we've got some cornflowers, some marigolds, some straw flowers, and then there's sunflowers at the back, and in the middle it's just a wildflower mix.
Lots of nasturtiums there too.
The plan for our wildflowers, we want to have a few different spots where there's just wildflowers growing, but instead of just scattering the seeds straight onto the earth and hoping that they grow, I read that the best way to start your own wildflower meadow is to do like this. You sow them in modules, you grow them until they're decently sized plants, you plant those out, lots and lots of them, and scatter the seed in between, and that's how you get it to go healthy and fast.
Sounds like a good plan. I look forward to that. Can't
Yeah.
wait for the sunflowers. We've got many sunflowers on the go.
Oh, we've got loads of sunflowers. We've got giants, dwarfs, doubles, ones that look like teddy bears, all fluffy, red ones, orange ones, yellow ones.
Lots of sunflowers. We
Well,
like them.
it's our little theme for this year. We've gone for sunflowers, so we're going to have them dotted all over the land.
And it's part of our logo.
Yeah, it's on our logo. And it'll be nice for the birds. Some of them will just leave and the birds will have to... I don't know if they eat sunflower seeds, these birds. They've probably never seen them before.
I'm sure they'll get used to it.
Or the mice. Around this side, this is my pride and joy at the moment. This is a yellow courgette, and if you look at the heart, there's baby courgettes ready to go, little flowers. This is Rosie's pride and joy, the little cute little pineapple.
Yeah, isn't he cute?
It's so cute. And then just a few more. We've got some lettuce, some rocket, cucumbers, pumpkins, squash, things like that. This is an experiment here. I've tried potting on some of the wildflowers into bigger pots to see if that does them better. And then a few more peppers, flowers, more sunflowers.
Lots of peas.
Lots of peas, yeah. So all of these pots here, and this trays at the back, they all belong to Rosie. She's planted them, sown them from seed herself. This is a mystery salad mix, as she calls it.
They're all doing well, aren't they?
And she's got nasturtiums. It looks like she's got lots of tomatoes at the back there too, and something else interesting.
Lots of tomatoes. And then if you go left, you move into my side. So here we've got giant sunflowers and small sunflowers, a load of violas. These are my tomatoes that started coming up. And then here, which is my pride and joy, you can just see one there, baby bamboos. Got about 8 of those come up. And those are loofahs, getting their big leaves, they need potting on. And down here, these ones are yuccas, just coming up. Marigolds, all very exciting. No sign of life yet from my gingers and turmerics, but I've dug them up to check. They're still all fine. Just a bit cold for them at the moment.
Do you want to have a quick peek round in the fruit forest?
Sure. Always exciting. Take walking cam down.
Want to have a look over here? These are all the chickpeas that I planted. We've got about 20 chickpeas, and it's gonna, when they get big, they're going to be sort of this size. So we'll have a big bank, and they're planted in next to the walking onions.
Why are they called walking onions?
Because they don't just grow the bulb with the flower at the top. They put out a great big stem and it gets huge, and then at the top, instead of your flower, you get another teeny tiny little onion bulb, and it gets bigger, and as it gets bigger it gets heavier until it finally droops down, touches the ground, roots, and then it's moved. And they keep doing that year after year if you don't pull them up, and they'll walk all around your garden.
Never heard of those. Where do we get those from? From Gary.
From Gary.
Thanks very much, Gary. Really excited by those.
Almond tree, lost all its blossom now. Fabulous in leaf. I'm excited by the almond tree. Oh my goodness, look, we've got almonds. Oh, that's so exciting. I'd not noticed them before.
No.
And there.
Loads of almonds.
Cute.
That's exciting, isn't it? Be enough for 2 each.
It's better than none. Our beautiful crocuses in Bogey's garden.
Yeah, Bogey's garden's looking lovely.
It is.
Very colourful, bit bedraggled in the rain. Tulips coming up at the back.
We've got a couple more chickpeas. The red currant's putting out its shoots. Another little experiment, I've just plopped in a few little salads here and there. So I've got little tatsoi, he looks a bit sorry for himself out in the cold. Oh, this is exciting. Come and look at these little fuzzy bits. Like that is a kiwi leaf sprout. And if you come to the other side, here, look at these. This is another kiwi, and its leaves are all fuzzy.
Beautiful.
Very exciting. Down to what else? Over here, a couple more chickpeas. Rosie's gooseberry, looking very smart, putting out its leaves.
A little gooseberry, that'll get big as well, won't it?
Yeah. Last stop on our tour is my beautiful rhubarb. Absolutely gorgeous. Look at these huge leaves. And it's got loads. If you come and have a peek, it's got loads more coming. Leaves ready to unfurl.
They're beautiful plants, aren't they?
Yeah.
And we got the rhubarb from Alan.
Yep, thanks
so
Alan.
Another thank you from Alan.
So that concludes our little look around the nursery. Other than that, there's just a few little buds here and there, a few leaves on trees and so on. But I think it's going to ramp up now. I think in the next couple of weeks everything's going to go boom.
Yeah, it's starting, isn't it? It's very exciting. Lots of lemons. So the pink ones are the little flower buds, but what's really exciting is if you look there, that's a baby lemon. So it was a good buy, as it's completely covered in flowers, so we should get quite a lot of lemons off it, which is very exciting. So, as always, thanks very much for joining us for another week on the wildlands. Thanks so much for following our journey and watching our adventures as we try and become more sustainable. And it's certainly exciting, everything we're growing. I look forward to seeing what happens in the summer when the weather gets hot, and can we manage watering all of our plants. So again, thanks very much. Most appreciated if you could leave us a like, as that does help the algorithm get us out to more people, which is always very appreciated. And do leave us a comment. We do like reading your comments, getting back to you, getting your input on how we're doing. So I hope you have a wonderful week, and we'll see you next weekend with the next instalment of how we're getting on the wildlands.